That was a little weird. Yeah, that was weird. But anyway. So, the topic for this stream tonight is one that I believe should be revisited. Because it's how do I put this? It's something that has been kind of running amok to a certain hello Kayla. To a few people that I've observed, and it's pretty important to understand when you're dealing with a construct of a being and the natural and the as it is at its purest without any kind of human, I don't want to say infuriating because saying infuriate like pretty much contaminating it is not exactly correct. Oh, Ivy! Yay! There's Ivy. It's been many thousands of moons. Maybe I can put that there. Now I can see everybody. But anyway, so so since there's a lot of people here, I guess we'll just get started anyway. So to kind of refresh, does any does anybody happen to remember that that is if you've been here for thousands of moons? Does anybody remember what I define as a construct entity? Not a servitor. It's a construct is a type of servitor. Yes. It is a man-made being, yes. But what is this construct trying to primarily do? I wonder if any of you actually remember. If not, or even if I even mentioned it. But I'll give you some time and let the Jeopardy music play. That was really just my phone decided to be like, I'm gonna go darker for no reason. Okay, whatever you want to do, phone. I'm kind of sick of this stupid phone anyway. I'm sick of it. And I'll give you a hint. Think of put it this way. Eh, I think I probably phrased the question wrong. I'll put it this way. Yeah, that plays part of it too. But primarily, the way that I was actually going towards it is it, don't be loud. A construct entity or construct being, of course, is man-made, obviously. But but the intent of a construct is to actually take the name of an entity. Probably the best example is Lilith or Lucifer, Thomas, and take away all the dignified parts of them, only leaving the baneful, malefic stereotype. And which religious um, grouping is the most rampant with it? Not calling it out. I'm just saying for what it is because this is what it is. Don't look at me. I just exist. That's all I know. To put in more simple terms, which group, which religious group system? Eh, I'd rather say Abrahamic. Yeah, Kayla just took it right out of my mouth. Yep, right there. But why? Well, simple. What's the best way to kind of eradicate or push away or make people stop going towards something? You defame it. It's like the good old spreading BS, but that's pretty much slander and defamation of character. But anyway, because if you actually take a minute and think, I'm not being biased either. I'm just saying because this is what it is. When you have an, an entity or a being claiming to be one thing, but completely whiffs it on the other, and is going in the right direction, Ivy, it better be. Otherwise, I'll be like, oh, it's not going in the right direction. Here, hold my wine glass. And yes, one more. Well, not really, because if when those who can think and actually do think and use their head, they can actually stop and think. Riddle me this: how can an angelic? There you go, much better. How can we believe an angelic who's supposed to be one um, of Yahweh, who's supposed to be the most purest, blessed thing ever, most pure? How can we believe that an angelic decided to literally disintegrate? Disintegrate. I'm using that word correctly. Disintegrate a girl because she didn't give water to Yeshua. But the thing is, hold on now. Why didn't this archangel have compassion and understanding and trying to think from the girl's perspective? And instead of disintegrating her, why not instead, oh I don't know, use the angelic talent that he has and been bestowed with, and actually use it to inspire her and motivate her and to give her the will to give the water. That'll be way more dignified, but instead, what does he do? Disintegrates her. And I'm talking about one of the variations of the Anima Sola. Archangel Michael disintegrated her for not giving Yeshua water. Well, that's kind of like where if you're having a strong brain, you can kind of think, and also even going from like their perspective, Archangel Miguel, why did you just disintegrate this girl? Why did you just disintegrate a child of God? Why did you do that? That's not very godlike, you sinner. Oops a daisy. Murder's murder. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or tushies. Still murder. Whiff it. No exceptions. It's either it did or it not. There's no exceptions. It's either somebody is stupid or not stupid. Stupid. There is no like slap on the wrist like, yeah, don't worry, or just being like, oh, that didn't happen. It happened? Yes, it did. Murder happened because of him. Oops a daisy. Well, broke a commandment, but oh well. Whoopsie. That's supposed to be pure, huh? I don't know. I don't work with them. But either way, if the angelics weren't ordered, then again, primarily, again, the only thing that I could say is that they only follow what they're commanded to do by Yahweh. That's as far as I know. And that's pretty much the only way that I can think. If Yahweh gives the word to tell them to do jumping jacks, they'll do their jumping jacks. But going back to the thing with the Anima Sola, in that variation, she was actually scared and intimidated to actually give him the water, because the thing is, she's a little girl. She's a young girl. And behind her are Pharisees, the Roman soldiers, supposedly, and all the groups of people that are. Mm-hmm, except the. Uh, uh, Golem, though. Uh, I, yeah. Angelics, I feel, are way more like cutthroat dry. Like they're just like that way or no way. Oh, it just smacked my necklace a little too hard. It just got my jugular a little. But anyway, so you have the girl that was now the anima solo, literally scared of her mind to give him the water, because she's afraid if she does, she'd get excommunicated, jumped, turned on, killed. Well, when you're kind of fending for your life, what else are you supposed to do? Are you going to risk your life just to give someone who's claiming to be a divine figure in a body water? What if it's not? And it, it was just a whole charade. Well, now you're either killed or excommunicated, left to fend for yourself. That's just being a little bit more on the practical side, but still. If if she made the choice not to give the water, Miguel, why you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to literally disintegrate her with a lightning bolt because she didn't give him the water. Maybe you should have just stayed back. Or if you're going to do something, at least do something that was supposed to be leading by example. Inspire her and just give her the courage to do it. Archangel Miguel is, I believe, and I'm supposed, if I'm remembering correctly, he's about war. He's pretty much a Mongol, Mars, the most violent, taking initiative, acting, serving the king. That's Mars. You should have given her the willpower to actually do it. Inspire her, take action, and have strength. But instead, made her an earthbound instead, and a tranquil spirit instead. Gee, that's a good idea. That's going to sit well with everybody. Not really. For me, it definitely doesn't. But, getting back on topic, I know that was a bit of a tangent, but still. My tangents stand still. Tangents stand still, but still. But you get the idea. But when you're having something like a construct, now a construct is an actual intended, intended man-made being that's actually created to put on a false image and action and behave in a way that actually takes an entity or a being of the same name and is not. I saw that. You ain't slick. No, no, no. You can go outside and you can wait and you can not come in. One, don't tap my cupcake. Don't test me today. I'm not in the mood for it. I've already had enough BS today. Now trust me. Thank you. Yep. Uh-huh. We can. But then some people would actually consider that also like an egregore. Can. But the thing is, the best way to put it, think think of it like this. When you have a being with a reputation, such as Lucifer, and with the idea of him being essentially like casted out of heaven and thrown into the underworld or hell, no pun intended, everything that comes from that, it's only going with because how it's actually given on their side. Most of the time, it's pretty all focused on malefic and baneful parts. There's really no anything dignified about it except calling him beautiful, but that's oh okay, a little bit of sand. Okay, just a little bit of cute good stuff. Still. When you're dealing with the being at its purest, that's when it's different. Because what you're dealing with is you're dealing with the entity or the being at its purest, meaning that there's no human stupidity messing with it. Take this for an example. Like True Lilith, for an example. She, you can, yeah, if you think that, going along with the ideas of, like, having her name, like, posted on something, that's really not going to do anything. That's not going to do anything. If anything, it's like, oh, okay, my name, now what? So what? Ooh, you posted my name. Ooh, now what? But the construct one, it's going to work. The construct one will actually be kept at bay. But what's the difference? Simple. The construct is actually programmed to submit to them. Meaning whatever they do to make the construct sit or submit, it'll work. But if it's the actual true entity, it's going to whiff. It ain't going to do anything. It's like, oh, okay, that's so cute. Now what? And you're going to be extra technical. Like how there are some belief, like how even, how do you put this? Say if you have, like, for example, the Warrens, Ed of the Rain Warren, which is not really legitimate. But anyway, say you have them. Don't bang on the wall. Don't make me tell it you again. Really? Wow, careful, Cupcake. It's really active. But then again, it's a full moon, so meh with it. So, like, say, for example, the Annabelle doll. Now, I can't tell if it was actually Malthus that they were trying to swing at. But the thing is, I kind of don't think Malthus would have the time to, sit in a doll and, just act the way that it's being portrayed to be. Along with, oh, I have something else to say too, like after this whole thing. Why, I mean, if this whole thing did happen, why did they not approach it in a neutral manner and just accept it for, like, okay, this is a being that is needing attention because he's acting out, trying to, like, get attention. Maybe we should stop and listen? I mean, what bad can go wrong? If it doesn't listen, if it doesn't cooperate, if it's actually really painful and dangerous, okay then, we tried. Out with it. But if we don't try, how do you know that maybe it just needed someone to listen to it and, needed help? You don't know because you didn't do it. That's why. Instead, you just put it in a box and be like, done. No. No. But anyway. Now, of course, interacting or working with a being at its purest, you get both the benefit and the malefic side of it. Because you have to accept both sides of it. Take Hell, for example. Hell, as the Norse gods of the dead, she'll love and accept anyone and anybody that comes towards her as a benefit. But what would deem kind of malefic is that she's cruel. But how can she be so loving and accepting if she's cruel? Simple. She accepts you for however you are, but if you're being stupid, she'll tell you, stop being a stupid idiot. That's malefic. That's being cruel. Somebody would be like, oh, that hurt my feelings. I don't care. Stop being dumb. That's how she is. And even take also Nyx or Nox. Night Mother. She's blind and sees everybody as her children. So she pretty much is able to caretake to any of them, and anyone, as a benefit. And malefic, though, if you act scared towards her, she's not going to understand and think, why are you scared of me? And actually come towards you more and more and more. And if you're not comfortable and grounded yet, she's gonna mess with your head because she's trying to get a hold of you to give you that comfort. But from your perspective, you're like, oh, I'm really terrified of the dark more and more and more because you haven't, acknowledged that well, I need to spend more time in the dark and get more comfortable. Instead, you're like, oh gosh, the dark. No, 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 no. I don't want to get ganked. Same with probably another really great example is again Lilith, Benefic. But the thing with her being Benefic, at least from my experience, she kind of indirectly galvanizes you into action, meaning that she inspires you to take action without telling you to go, without telling you a thing. She kind of puts it into the subconscious, and from there waits, and then you do it. She's not direct. But now with that's like the benefit, inspiring you or making you think more and priming you to take the action. But now we go into the malefic side. Of course, now here comes the stereotypes and all that stuff. The I don't even like thinking like this, but it by technicality is part of her. But the thing is, it's so overblown that it's just like no, too much. Of course, yes, she has had many children from many beings. Okay, well, that doesn't mean you get to insult her by calling her a harlot or a whore. Hate those words. Just because she has multiple children from multiple beings, that doesn't make her a either. That's an insult. That's an insult. Now, if you're actually do now, if you're going to say like, well, what about something like a, I can't even say that word either, but still, that's the profession. That's a profession. When you're doing a service, that's a profession. It is a profession. Whether it's morally right or wrong, it don't matter. It's still a profession. If you don't like it, well, woe's Adam. Don't worry about it. Worry about yourself. A service is a service. Income generating is income generating. If it works and if it gets her needs met and fed, good. But again, that's just a little bit of the stereotypical baneful side of it. But hopefully that gives you the general idea. But now, when the construct is running amok, like I said, the one who makes it also controls it. I'll say it again. Whomever makes the construct of a being, as a mimic, pretty much, they can control it. Because look at it this way. Say with the Abrahamic stuff and actually doing the demon casting out, supposedly. Say if something does baneful attaches to somebody from like their congregation, they're controlling it. So when they do come towards it, they'll actually are able to tell it to let go. And if you actually noticed, even like with the ones that are like TV evangelists and they really get like, okay, cupcake, this is as believable as, Anna Nicole's, rack. Not at all, honey. You ain't fooling nobody. Yeah, that kind of believability. Even when it gets like that, it's still. It's putting on the front to make it believe that, it's happening, but it's just over dramatic acting. And there have been instances where there are some people supposedly pulling stuff out of somebody's mouth. Well, I don't know how somebody would be able to get something the size of like an 8-ball from pole into somebody's throat. No, that's impractical and illogical. Because that's the thing. When you're doing anything in the code, you have to use your head. You have to use your thinking. Because if you don't, you're just pretty much just going and throwing willy-nilly. And hopefully you're thinking, hopefully something sticks. But unknowingly, you actually had something with, and it's actually causing a lot of chaotic energy going all over the place. So you're having a hot mess of it. Well, the ones that after after the ones the ones that came after the slaughtering. Now that's another one. If these angelic beings are supposed to be so divine, pure, and loving and accepting, and always wanting to be the highest of benefit of Yahweh, why do they did mass murder? Oops a daisy. Oops a daisy. Murder's murder. Either it happened or it didn't. Nobody gets a free pass. Not even a divine or a spirit. No passes. No exceptions. Because if one gets the exception, everybody gets an exception then. Everybody gets exceptions. And if that's the case, sin doesn't exist. Mm-mm. To be completely honest. But now, here's another thought. Because this actually happened like years back, but now in Texas is actually being finally taken care of. Therapy, otherwise I'm going to be livid. I'm not exactly where. I think it was actually in Austin or Dallas, one of the two. That two girls, 118, 117, were murdered and shot by their father. Mm-hmm. Their father killed them. And do you know why? It's so pathetic why he took their lives. It kind of makes me think, wow, really? No contest. No contest with the verdict of sentencing. He killed them both because they weren't dating the same kind of men from their religion. And actually, the father's actually using some kind of supposedly religious law saying that it was justified. Now, if your faith says you can kill your children because they're not dating someone of your same belief system, sorry, Cupcake, that's not how it's done here. You keep your faith outside the courthouse. It doesn't come in. Sorry. Next. Now, if you really want to be extra technical and extra, to the ankle. What was that thing called? Oh, what's the stereotype about something like Satanism and, mass murderers or people killing and stuff like that? Oh, like how one of the best first excuses from them was, I'm not sure because the trial's still going on. What was that thing called? Oh, the devil made me do it. That one. Yes, that one. Well, Allah made me do it. Oopsie daisy. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Shots fired. Hey, don't look at me. Don't look at me. That's what he's doing. Well, the devil made me do it. Well, Allah said it's okay to do it, so I did it. It's the same thing. Saying the devil made you do it, saying Allah made you do it. It's the same thing. The only thing that's different is the being giving you the okay to do it. You're having a spiritual or religious being, an astral being, coercing you to taking life, which cannot stand as a defense in the court of law. Sorry, Cupcake. Keep your faith at the door. Can't come in. Sorry. Murder is murder, but worse. The devil made me do it. Actually, to be completely honest about that, the Parkland shooter, the way I look at it's like, oh, the devil made you do it, huh? Trust me, honey. I don't think any of those on the left hand side, I don't think they would even. No, they wouldn't. Lucifer or Satanas even would be like, no. Because the thing is, who's the one that had the gun in hand, and who's the one who made the choice and decided, oh, I'm going to kill people, and who's the one who said it, and who's the one who boasted about it? He did. Does he have a mental condition? Most more than likely, yes. Possibly more than likely, so. But nonetheless, murder's murder. And, using that as a defense, sorry, not good enough. A religious faith cannot be used as a means to, charge someone of a crime or also used as a defense. It's just out. Nobody gets it. And even the same thing goes for like if somebody's coming in for court and they're pretty much having their face covered. If it's because of their religious belief, they have to be able to identify themselves to the judge and everybody in the courtroom. If they don't, they're doing contempt in court. Sorry. That's how the law is. It's plain cutthroat. Is either yes or no. Are you following the rules of the court? No? Contempt. That's it. No fans, butts, or tushies. But anyway, to that father though that killed his 2 girls though. Really, of all the things you are using to justify ending their lives because they're tasty men. Precisely why. And this is one of the reasons why. Because if you're having faith dictate how man's law is put out, you're whiffing it. Because now you're having this. Say for an example, like religious freedom. Which pretty much means this, to keep it at the most simplistic level. Religious freedom. You're allowed to have your own viewpoint, express your viewpoint, and practice your faith, however you deem fit. Butts ahoy. The minute you take your religious belief system and start using it as a weapon and weaponizing it, you're whiffing it. You're critically failing it. Nope. Your religious freedom does not give you the right to violate someone, does not give you the right to harass someone, does not give you the right to cause harm to someone. It doesn't. Because if you think that's how it is, and if you're pushing it so hard, okay, well, in my belief system, I'm allowed to slap an idiot. And I can slap him. Religious freedom. You have to let me slap you. Don't look at me. Hey, it's the same thing. But that's not how it is. Because that's not the point of it. Whiff it. Oopsie. I mean... like... But now, also, here's another one. Having a theory, like a conspiracy theory, that's not a religious or belief faith point. It's not. So that cannot be brought in the courtroom or used as a reason to charge or a reason to defend with. Because it's a theory. Hence why conspiracy theory. It's a theory. It is a belief or a thought that doesn't have any physical, consistent proof, but it's an idea that has possibly potential. But hold on again. Being realistic. If somebody was to believe that birds don't exist, they're not real, all the birds, really, they're just robots being used by the government to spy on everybody, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's somebody literally going a little bit too, too much with the tinfoil on the head, and they need to, kind of remove that. Because no, if you think that, a type of animal is actually a robot being used by the government to be all, what you doing? And think of all the penguins, well, that's the bad prototype. Let's put all the penguins down south because they ain't gonna work. They can't fly, so put them to Antarctica and the North Pole. Well, we can't do anything with them. And if that's the case, if we're gonna be going with it, the most common one would be the pigeon. It'd be all over the place. Pigeons everywhere. Do you really think that would make any sense? Besides, explain this then. How can you have then a baby bird come out of an egg, have it, have life? How can it hatch from an egg and have all the internal organs and the organism systems? Because I'm going to be completely honest, not even really the government would be able to put that together perfectly. Only nature can do that. Whoopsie daisy. But still. Going back to, the whole thing about the $2. If it was up to me as a prosecutor, and, I mean, people do have said that, I'd make a really, like a really dangerous and pretty scary prosecutor to go up against. Well, or even the judge too, but really, if you understand how man's law works, it's not that difficult. It's just got to be stuck with what you're stuck with and know how to go sidestep with it. You just got to know your limitations and work within them to pull the strings. And maybe have to be maybe like an ankle biter about it too. And be consistent. Saying like for example, being charged with a crime. Well, we have reason to believe. Is there evidence? Do you have evidence of this happening from me? Me being, the criminal or doing this crime? Evidence? Well, you were close by the crime scene when it happened, around the time when it happened, so we have reason to believe that you may have been the one to do it. Do you have any proof of it? Do you have any witness statements? Do you have any audio recordings around the time the incident happened? Do you have any videotape footage? I have many alibis. Whoops! Can't stand. And even then too, because I mean I'm not casting it out all the way, but looking back on it then, why haven't we gone back, and for goodness sakes, why are we trying so hard to go to Mars? Why don't we just try and, fix what we got here first? And that is the last resort. That's none of my business. But for the two girls that lost their lives, well, I'm justified in doing it because my faith says I can do it. That's like supposedly claiming I have executive privilege. Oh, executive privilege. I'm an executive privilege. Oh, no. That doesn't exist. No, it doesn't exist. Sorry, Cupcake. You justifying you killing your own daughters because they're not dating the kind of men that share the same faith. I've heard a lot of pathetic and just embarrassing things in my life, but that one's got to be the most embarrassing for the guy, his wife, and anybody associated with that family, because that's embarrassing and pathetic and just inexcusable. I'm calling it like I'm sorry, I'm calling it like it is. Because if you're going to be taking the lives of your own daughters for something so minuscule and so just really, who they choose to marry and be with the rest of their life or date, that's their choice. If you don't like it, well, woe is you. Deal with it. Woe is you. Deal with it. I mean, heck, they didn't help. They didn't have their say with the wife you chose. So what makes you think you can have it? Feisty, I know, but still. You don't have the right to end life for something so pathetic like that. The only real time you can end life, if we're going to be real here, pain and suffering. Like, for example, somebody's is afflicted with a condition that's slowly making them waste away, but they're being kept alive by life support and machinery. That's different, but that's not murder. But now, when you have either life or death, and you have to, you need to, have them kick the bucket in order for you to be alive, for your own safe and well-being. But then you have to do what's best for you and put yourself first. Because if you're dead, the world's done. If you don't exist, game over. If they don't exist in your perspective and they're coming at you trying to end yours, yeah, you defend yourself and they kick the bucket. That's pretty much the only other thing. War, like for example, like in probably the worst of it, Middle East, in other countries that are fighting still because of like, oh, this is what this faith is. This is what we believe. No, it's like this. For bloody sakes. We're how old now, and how long has this been going on? As long as mankind existed? Wow. Don't you think we'd learn by now? Don't you think we'd learn by now? There's nothing wrong with somebody having a different faith than you. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, what is wrong with it? Because it's different? What's wrong with that? Anything that should give you motivation to actually go towards them and actually engage in conversation to actually learn about it. And, become aware of it and learn and understand it better. And you can actually teach them your side too. That's the point of philosophical discussion and study and religious study. That's the point. You exchange higher forms of thinking and philosophical viewpoints. You exchange them. You both grow. That's the point of it. Not to be having mortal combat and, killing each other over and over and over for as long as we've existed. Well, now, so the father killed the son, but the father was the one doing it? Or was it the son doing it? Because now, if the son was doing it, well, for one, that's something really, drastic that needs to be taken care of like that, and also need to, have some psychological care be brought in to help. Going to figure out what the heck's going on here and what makes him think is a good idea to do this. And those are also disciplining him because, if he's not an adult, still like young. Okay. Well, again, life's life, but still. You have to that's your child still. So you still have to discipline, but also get him medical care for his head. Psychological and mental health care. And also the same for the daughter. But the thing is now, look at it now, it's completely different. Like, say, if there's a predator and they actually get a hold of the daughter, and now the father kills the predator. Now, that's different. But your own child might want to be more of a disciplinarian and have the self-control to try and help. But if you can't, and you have to do what's best for the youngest, you might have to just send him away. And actually have him get the care he needs, but also protecting the younger sister. But to shoot the Oh, so pretty much the son actually felt guilty about it? Yeah, but still. The understanding that, somebody made a mistake And if they're understanding the mistake and they're wanting to tell someone they trust that they made the mistake and try to fix it and get help to make sure it doesn't happen again, that's coming from a point where we're trying to be a little bit balanced and fair. They're actually taking the effort to fix the mistake, understand the mistake, and make sure the mistake doesn't happen again. If somebody's putting the effort to make sure that this doesn't happen again, they're putting in the effort to ensure that they've learned the lesson and move on from it. But when you have it be a murder, now that's no, and that's the thing with when it comes to things like this. It's best to go just by case by case by case, but have a good solid foundation of things as like a starting point. But using a belief system to justify killing your own children? I'm sorry. Maybe the prosecutor. I'll take care of him real good. Okay, so here we go. First, we have child abuse. Mm-hmm. It's too different, but still, it is good to have that awareness too, just to realize that, well, it makes the mind think, and that's really important. Let's see here. Well, I mean, if I was the prosecutor against that guy with the two daughters, oh man, I wouldn't be nice. I'd be bloodthirsty, metaphorically speaking. No pun intended. Well, for one, child endangerment twice. Child endangerment twice. You're armed with a weapon around children. That's child endangerment. Number two, child abuse, psychological, physical abuse. Probably even happen in the home too, but still. Next one. Let's see, assault against a minor, twice. Yeah. When you're being a prosecutor, you literally go at every little nook and cranny. You go for blood. That's what you do. Child abuse, assault on a minor. Well, except one was 18, so by that definition, it would be just regular assault and assault on a minor. Well, for me, I put it this way: give him a life in prison, and let the inmates to whichever jail he goes to handle it, because it's pretty amazing, to be honest. Mm-hmm. It's amazing, to be honest, how even in jails, some of the inmates have more dignity and more morally like more stronger ethical principles than some of these he who fonts in the church. Like if say, like for the guy who, yeah, child killer doesn't last long, and worse is your own kids. Ooh, the inmates are gonna like that. Same thing with with the ones who abuse women and actually do domestic violence. Oh ho 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 ho. And what I don't like is how people like the stereotype towards inmates is that, oh, they're bad people and all this stuff. Well, they do have a sense of ethics and morality. When someone who comes into jail as a punishment has a record for killing children, child abuse, and all that, that's not gonna be good for them. It's also sometimes kind of sad how the inmates have more of an ethics and more of a dignified sense of honor and dignity. Oops, I said it. I said it. Instant replay? Yeah. Oh, my mind was. It's sad that the prisoners of the government have more ethics and sense of decency and character than the government. Is it more chaotic and more. Mm-hmm. But hey, at least they take the action. Because most of the time, well, now in the state of Arizona at least, they define now domestic violence if you scream and yell at your significant other or your child in the house for an impractical amount of time, that's considered domestic violence. It's considered it. And by technicality, you can. Because it's a baneful intent attack. But again, by case, if they can't hear and they're losing their hearing, that's different. But in a hostile, aggressive manner that shows intent to harm, with the screaming and yelling, that's violence, domestic violence. It may not be physically; it's emotional and mental. It causes harm, and that's how they define it. And same thing goes with say, like if a woman gets violated, and if they're being forced to keep quiet by the abuser or whomever the heck is, it is a really hard and difficult situation to be in. But nonetheless, as soon as you can tell somebody that can help, best to tell them. Because that's what these people who violate like that do. They make you believe that bad things are going to happen if you speak. Well, the thing is, you have to adapt and you have to go and jump. And by jump, I mean run, get out of the situation when you're able to and the time's right. And you can make a book for it and find another safe spot. That's what I mean by that. Because if you were to just, go and tell somebody while you're still living in the place where the abuser is, that could be a risk. But now, when he's out of the house and in holding until trial, that's different. And even then too, when in holding, I'm not sure if it's exactly like this in Arizona, because that's the city I'm in. But by deductive reasoning, by the law, if somebody is a domestic violence survivor, they're the person who attacked them or abused them, by default has a restraining order on them. By default, I would hope. And if that's not the case, really, why is that not by default then? Because the thing is, legally, if that's not put on by default or in order of restraint from somebody who just survived a domestic violence attack, and the abuser is out, they do have to notify that the abuser's released. But while they're notifying that, also tell the abuser, hey, you have an order of restraint and do not go anywhere within this amount of feet of the place, or her, or the children, or the residents there. Stay away. No hands, butts, or tushies. But that's in supposedly a perfect world. Let's see. What's the? That's like the whole thing saying like, well, my faith says I could do it. Okay, well, if that's the case, and we're going to be using that as a defense, well, my faith believes I can do this to you. Nope, my faith says I can do it. How come he can get it? How come he got away with it? I should be able to get away with it too. It's the same defense, and he's trying to use it as a way of defending himself. But that's the thing. Religion and a belief system can't be a means of charging or defending. Point being, you cannot use belief or faith because it doesn't have anything realistically practical with it. Meaning that it doesn't have any tangible 3D proof of it being right. Because there is no way to prove it being right. All that you can do is acknowledge it and say, get out of the courtroom. Put it bluntly. But now, because this is where actually I enjoy getting into one of these little tangents. Satanic ritual abuse, that's not a crime. You know why? Because now you're using somebody's faith as part of the criminal act. You can't charge someone with satanic ritual abuse. You can't do that because Satanism is a faith. You can do ritualistic abuse, yes, because that's a form. Because ritualistic means doing a set of moves or a routine, a set of moves in a routine that involves some kind of abuse being taking place. That makes sense. Satanic ritual abuse? I'm sorry, you can't bring the faith in here. Out with it. I'm not lying. Because if that's the case, well then how about we also be like, well, let's bring in the Abrahamic he who font ritual abuse for all the American natives in Canada that got murdered because of them. Hey, it's the same thing. The only thing that's different is which faith it is. They still murder. Still murder. Abrahamic he who font ritual murder still counts. If you're going to be justifying satanic ritual abuse, you have to acknowledge that as a religious abuse too. There's no free passes. Nobody gets the look the other way. It's still murder, and it's still abuse. You can't bring the faiths in though. You can't do that. And that's also like the same thing with people and some of the pastors lately who are like, well, you can't be of this faith if you're a Democrat. Who are you to say they can't be of a certain faith because they're not part of a political party? Who makes you think you have that right to say that? How do you have the right to actually say, yep, you are this faith, but you're not the same political party, so you're not? No. Use your head. Use that, what's that called? Use all that schooling you took in college to be able to talk about the book. Why don't you use that and learn what you used in that college and use your head? I mean, I believe you have to go to college in order to be preaching it. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. If that's the case, there's no excuse. But look at this. Having politics blind someone and having them then spew BS of a belief system to... No. That's weaponizing it even more. And probably my most absolute favorite. Oh boy. I'll make a killing off of this one, metaphorically speaking. This one deserves a thigh slapper. Hold on, I'm grabbing another drink. Hold on. Grabbing another sip of whatever. Okay, I'm back. But anyway, let's see here. But when you're actually interacting with a being or a spiritual being at its purest, with how it's intended to be, you acknowledge it for what it is, and that it's neither good or bad. It's just the being. That's how you're supposed to acknowledge it. And not think of it as like, oh, the most purest thing ever. And think of something as like completely all the way bad. That's not the right way. That's not how you should have your viewpoint be. Because you're preventing yourself to be able to stay in the neutral. Being able to see both sides. Because both, the best way to put it, both sides are stupid. Both sides are stupid if you're going to be going with the polarizing way. Both are stupid. Democrat, Republican. Both stupid. They're both stupid. You're in the middle. You have both. You don't go to the overkill of either. You're balanced. And now I'm going to try and remember. Oh, the other one. The other thing about, having using the faith or the belief system that one has. This is even also throwing metaphorical spears at another he who found figure that was like, oh boy. I can't remember exactly how he started it, but something about like saying you should be be brought forth in front of a legal trial. A legal trial, huh? You're gonna bring the gays and actually hold them into a criminal trial. Okay, for what? What's the crime? You don't have a crime? Whiff it. What's the crime? You can't put me into a legal lawful trial for a crime being committed if you don't have a crime being committed. And who somebody's attracted to and who somebody loves and what they do in their personal interactions like that. Sorry, Cupcake, that's not a crime. But it says here in this book, in this part of the Bible, that's not man's law, not in this land. Whiff it. Sorry. Besides, if you're going past into the Old Testament, whiff it again. Because that's for historical purposes only. That's it. Whoops-a-daisy. This, you can't use the historical past of the Old Testament as means to justify the present. Because that's not the point of it. So it was meant to be used for historical understanding of how this faith was a while ago. But not to use it to justify the now. You're going to be extra technical by technicality. The Ten Commandments, whiff it. It's part of the Old Testament. I'm not lying. And don't look at me. I'm not the one who wrote this. Nor am I the one who said it. But still. Okay then, bring him for a trial. Okay, what's the crime? Homosexuality? Okay, fine, whatever. Condemn me to death? Oh no, honey, you don't have the right to do that. You can't condemn a person who's attracted to the same gender to death. Because who makes you think you have the right to say who lives or dies? Oh wait, you don't. Never mind. Oops-a-daisy. Oh, because, supposedly it's against the faith? Again, Old Testament. Whiff it. Nope. Oopsie. And then actually have him be shot in the back of the head? Advocating murder, huh? Okay. Whoopsie. And then supposedly trying to come back and trying to cover his tushy, saying, there's a difference between murder and capital punishment. Milkshake. Legally, and with legal terms, murder and capital punishment pretty much have the same thing happen, except one is done by adjudication, and the other one is essentially taking of the life that. Capital punishment ends a life. Murder ends a life. And you can't use something that even though it doesn't fit well with what you believe or what your viewpoint is, that's not a justification for you having to end somebody's life. Oh, what they believe offends me. God forbid. If something offends you or bothers you, walk away. Don't even acknowledge it. Just don't let something so minuscule make you go into a big hissy fit. Because, if anything, that just shows that, okay, so if I ever need to make this person, throw a big temper tantrum and just literally make them hissy fit on command, okay. Oh my gosh, he's one of them flamers. Oh, I just exist and now he's hissy fitting again. Don't. I've said this over and over again, but still it's good to know this. Don't project and don't expand and make it known what your weaknesses are. You're better off just shooting your own foot off. Pretty much. Because you're telling people, this is what makes me hissy fit. If you want me to stop doing what I'm doing and just go, just do this. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Because the last thing you want to do is actually have something that does bother you come out in the open, and now people are exploiting you because of it. Taking advantage of it and using it to make you bend to their will and become like a little toy. On command, hissy fit. Because of this thing that he doesn't like. I'm just saying. Don't let something so small, so minuscule, make you completely flip out and go, oh! Don't. If something bothers you, just don't ever get fazed by it. Just endure it, let it pass. But the minute you say, oh gosh, that bothers me bad, I don't like that, just get it away, it's bad. And then the hissy fit goes up again. Well, you just told them, or your weaknesses is now they're going to hit you in the face with it over and over again. Because that's human nature. That's what they'll do. And also when I'm talking also about the dignified parts of a being that are not being included, that also does include, like say for an example, if somebody is claiming that Lucifer is only malefic and is only the great deceiver, the great liar, whatever the bloody heck they say, from the Abrahamic side. If you're only going by what they're saying, you're not even giving him a chance. And in fact, how do you know he's like that? You're going to listen to them tell you that? Why don't you go towards Lucifer yourself and see how he is towards you? But in a perspective that's completely neutral. And telling him to come towards you as is. Nothing in the way. Nothing blinding you. Nothing making you get like woo-woo, singing in a certain way. None of that. Have him come towards you exactly how he is. No veil, no nothing. No add-on, no nothing. Just as is, purest. Then after that interaction, then you can sit. But until you interact with said being, don't have the right to say anything about the character. You don't. In fact, to be even more honest, the ones that actually do bring that faith, the Satanists or any of them down, I wonder how many of them have actually really interacted with any of them. Truthfully. And in a way that actually gives them a chance to speak and interact with. From a neutral standpoint. None of them. I'm just saying. But anyway, that's pretty much like all I was like I think of. Did I have one of my products around? I got this one. Well, I'll just stay floating if anybody wants me to throw a card stock at them. I'll float around for like another 10 to 15 minutes or so. And if nothing happens, well, nothing happens, and then signing right off, signing right off. Just let me know you want me to throw a cardstock at you, and what. And again, if you're near here, everybody gets one freebie. After that, if you want more, one more effort out of me, you gotta throw something to me. In the super chat, you have to throw something. Because I'm not gonna budge. But anyway. So, until then, I'll be threading these beads of jade, dolomite jasper, and kyanite, blue kyanite. So, without further ado, that's kind of did not sound right. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. As you guys have found hands together and trust me to come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, full moon in Aquarius tonight. Yep, that's a nice thing to know because that's happening on top of my moon, my ascendant, my drunk Saturn, and my black moon Lilith. And also depending on like if your moon is waxing, waning, full, or no moon, depending on your birth, that affects it. So I'll put myself as an example. My moon is waxing, and it's past the 50-degree mark. I believe it's at 60. I'll have to look. Pull up computer. Just don't blind me. Too bright. Okay, these sensitive eyes. Oh, oh again. Stupid Windows update. It's kind of like Windows is being like, oh, we have an update. We're helping. Not really. You're making things worse. Just don't mess with it. Like, another update kit? I don't know, computer. Take your time. Keep keep installing your quote-unquote update BS on there. Take your sweet time, honey. Hmm. Oh. Oh yeah, this. Oh, I don't even know specifically which one it is, but yeah. Okay, open says. Where's my Israel? Oh, right there. Behind the phone. I'm not. Hopefully, it's not a fish. Because I don't like fish, to be honest. Fish, as in the type of animal. Me and fish, we don't get along like that. Because, nasty. Okay, my moon is at. Yeah. Pretty much my moon is at 64.9, so pretty much 65% full. So it's a little bit above past the first quarter. So it's a waxing. So essentially, the full moon actually pretty much activates that moon, like my moon, for the waxing full moon. It activates that, and because you have Saturn only a mere 4 degrees behind Moon for me, and the ascendant. Yeah, he gets hit with this full moon too. Well, oh, actually, be careful. I'm looking at Vedic placements. So here, give me scoot over to perf. There, no, goody. Thank you. Now we're gonna go. Okay, there. Okay, now we got our pigeons in the row. Well, my moon is literally point blank on the ascendant, but go figure. And Saturn is behind by a mere 3 degrees. Yeah, a little bit closer on the western side, but still. The full moon is hitting that, and also my Lilith too. So, ascendant moon, drone Saturn, and Lilith. Boy, what a mess. I don't know how mess that's going to be when it's finished. That's actually that's a really tight needle aspect. So, Libra Sun and Aries Moon. Well, despite the, you know, despite the Sun being pissed off, actually for 20 degrees. Yeah, that would be, I believe. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, close to Vishaka. Yeah, closer to Vishaka. I don't care Windows security. You're as useful as, of trying to make a fish fly out of water without wings and being able to breathe. Useless. See here. See if there's a whiffing it. Yeah, maybe change that one. And also, if you want to be technical too, there's Rashi aspects with the moon too. So the signs besides Capricorn. So the following signs: Aries, Cancer, and Libra are having the sign aspects to this full moon. So my Sun and Mercury, it looks like, are getting hit in the head with this. And my pissed off Cancer and Mars is also getting hit with this. Lovely. Oh well, it happens. But that's just Rashi aspects. Well, looks like nothing has really happened, so I'm gonna be setting up now. See you guys tomorrow, and I will be doing pick a card tomorrow night, so you guys know.